What's up YouTube, this is Joe from Zephyr Wargames and I am bringing to you guys a deck update to DDD. This is going to be post Battle of Chaos because I feel like that is going to be when DDD is at its best. It is at its most consistent I feel like it's ever been post that set. So I feel like as hard and as painful it is for me to say, unless you just are it's the only deck you own that is competitively viable, you're best to hold out on playing DDD until that set comes. So I have built my deck to be ready for that set. I have even got OCG official cards to not only play the deck at its most lovely is the way you could put it. It's just to make it look as nice as possible as I'm playing it, but also to update my actual OCG version with OCG cards. So I'm not only going to show you guys the deck profile, I'm also going to show you a 2-card combo at the end, which is a super consistent, gets you like 5+ disruptions, but also changes in variations depending on what you search. I'll show you all the viable options that you can grab from the search at the end of the combo. But not only that, but what also makes the combo so good is that it uses as minimal bricks in the deck as possible. Everything just naturally flows nicely within the combo, and you'll see how nicely it flows in the combo. So it's going to be probably a longer video, as it's both a profile and a combo, but you'll see that at the end. So before I get into that, if you enjoy this, give us a like and subscribe down below, ding that notification bell, because obviously if you enjoy a person's content here on YouTube, you don't want to miss out on that content, and that notification bell helps prevent that, and all of that is greatly appreciated, and we thank you guys so much for doing so. So with all that said and done, let's get into this DDD video. So starting off, we have your basic staples: 3 Kepler, self-explanatory, 3 Copernicus, what was before just like a extra copy of Necro Slime and Lamia is just now absolutely phenomenal because it's actually part of your combo. And to go along with it, yeah, 3 DD Griffin, you know, love the actual OCG copies. So these are your main combo plays now in the deck. You could in all honesty take Swell Slime now out the deck. It actually isn't used for your main combos anymore, but depending on what kind of build you're playing, what kind of extract you have as well. I'm going to explain some choices that you can make in the extract as well, because there's like 3 options, there's like 3 flex spots now in the extract, which is pretty funny. These are now your main combo starters. Kepler is obviously your Griffin, and Copernicus is now your combo makers, and Kepler is now your supplementary piece for any of them. So there is that. To continue with the pendulums, we're playing 2 copies of Orthros, 2 copies of Ragnarok. These are the main ones. Not only do you set and scale, so you want with your Gilgamesh, so you want to play double of each in all honesty, so that way you at least A, have 1 in the deck already, but also B, these are actually nice in multiples. Ragnarok, we all know why Ragnarok is good. Having an extra 1 viable in deck to search out so you can summon it from your hand is very, very handy. But Orthros is actually very nice now because there's a lot of floodgate cards out now in the format currently. Between things like Rivalry Warlords and the Shark deck, Mystic Mine is always a thing, and as well as a few other cards that you can see running around. So having a second Orthros is like a viable option because you do pop 1 in combo. So having another 1 in the deck as just a naturally good searchable out to those floodgates is very, very good. Also, it being level 4 is also very handy because if you have those weird hands, if you have an Orthros in hand, it can help you go into your rank 4 plays, being Caesar. 1 spicy tech to round up the pendulums I'm playing in the deck is DD Savant Newton. You actually grab this in combo, or can grab it in combo, and you'll see that at the end in the combo. It's very, very handy, it's very, very strong. And being able to get you back your own floodgates, as you'll see later, is very, very good. So that's it for the pendulums. Moving on to non-pendulums is obviously DD Swirl Slime. Again, you can actually take this out. If you don't want to take it out completely, you can at least drop it to 1 copy. Swirl Slime is not that detrimentally important now in the deck post the new support. So you can actually reduce copies of this, and then you can put in more different text and options that you want to play in your own build. 2 copies of Necro Slime, you do send this in combo, so having 2 copies is pretty good. And then Lamia, not mostly for its synchro summoning or it being a tuner, it's mostly just like a free extender. I rarely, in fact, ever in testing use Lamia as a tuner. So it's mostly just there for either discard outlet, banish target for lure, or again a free extender for her own effect. So Lamia is there still for that. That's it for monsters. Moving on to spells. So as I mentioned, if you want to reduce your copies of Lamia Spell Slime, put in things like hand traps, like ash blossoms and things like that. That's probably something I might do. I might take out 2 Lamias and 1 Spell Slime, and put in like 3 ash blossoms or something like that. Just something nice and generic. In terms of a hand trap choice, you can do so. But as I said, moving on to spells for your contracts is Triple Gate, 1 Swamp King, and the 1 copy of the Dark Contract, Painted Dark Contract Documents. Documents is so good. You'll see that in the combo. The fact is not only a floodgate for yourself, for your opponent, meaning that you can lock them out on certain extract summons depending on what you have on board. Most of the time it's going to be Synchro NXEs, which is actually really handy because those are the most prominently used extracts minus link monsters. You rarely see fusions being made, but I guess with the Albash structure that's coming out, that might change, so who knows. But luckily for DDD, you can alter your end boards pretty nicely, depending on what your hand is like and what combos you're doing. But there's that. But the fact that it can recur cards when it's sent to graveyard is super strong. You see that in the combo. For consistency, we're playing 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. Everything in here is dark. We're not playing Desires, just want to mention that, because I don't want to banish my targets for Gilgamesh. So I'm kind of stepping away from Desires at the moment. It may change later on. But instead of Desires, I'm playing 3 copies of Pity Various Map. The fact that 2 of our combo pieces, well, one of them in particular being Copernicus, but 1 pseudo replacement combo piece being Kepler, are both 0 attack monsters. This is actually pretty good to add, grab them. Yeah, it does burn you for half your life points, but if you're going to lock your opponent out and win the game and establish your board, it's pretty worth it. 1 for 1 and 1 Upstart Goblin just to either A, get into Kepler, and B, just to make myself a 39 card deck. It's pretty good. For hand trap killers, 2 tactics talents and 1 Corbin Grave. You can play 3 talents if you so wish. It's completely up to you. I just gone for this ratio. It's something I might put instead of a 3rd talents is instant fusion. And you'll see what I would probably, how the extract can change and differ. As I did mention, there are flex spots in the extract. Moving on to trap cards, we are playing 2 of them. 1 being the new DDD Headhunt. This is really good. It's a searchable snatch steal or searchable crackdown that turns them into DDs, meaning that you can just slap a Death Machina on top and you're pretty good to go. But one spicy tech that is actually really good, and you'll see why it's really good, and I'll explain why it's really good in the combo when I get to it, is DDD Human Resources. This is actually pretty strong. The fact that it's now searchable means that it's actually a valid good target for usage, and you'll see why when I get to the combo. That's it for the main deck. Moving on to extract. For fusions, it's double Genghis and 1 big Genghis. Self-explanatory, always been that way. For synchros, there's actually a small synchro package now. 1 Formula, 1 Gust King, 1 Siegfried, and 1 Satellite Warrior. If you want to play Satellite Warrior, and if you do have it, you can play the Baroness de Fleur. I actually sold mine recently because she was up in price and I needed to make some money for other things, and so I got rid of my Baroness. Satellite Warrior is just as good. You're not really ending on Baroness anymore on post new support. You are literally ending on a pure DD board that is just equally as strong, probably even stronger than what we were doing before. depending on your point of view. And it's that way, it's just nice for that free board wipe if your combo did end on that. For Xyz is playing one Divine AA Zeus. Combos very well with Death Machina post turn 1, because turn 1 you will be locking yourself into DDDs, but being able to make this stack many overlay units underneath and then just slap a Zeus if you didn't manage to finish him off, it's just hilarious. One Wave King Caesar, and yes, by the way, that is an official OCG copy. One Marksman King Tail, and one Wave King Caesar. It's so funny how we were like heavy synchro package, and then post support we're now heavy Xyz package. It's just absolutely hilarious. There's been moments I've been thinking of bumping these two up, and then playing like the Utopic Future package. That could be pretty funny to test out. And then for links is one Hulk and double Gilgamesh, just to round up the extra deck. The optional slots that I was mentioning before and the flex spots are actually these. You don't actually have to play these, and you don't even have to play Gust King, in all frank honesty. All of these are flex spots, so if you want to play things like, and then going back into the main deck, your Lamias and your Spell Slimes, if you want to play things like Destiny Hero Fusion package, Instant Fusion package, things of that nature, you have a lot of flexibility now within the X deck and main deck, post new support, that you can customize it to be whatever you frankly desire. If I want to quote Lucifer, you can do that, and it's actually really nice to have that flexibility again, with the X deck and the main deck, so I'm really happy for that. So that's it for the actual deck profile itself. Let me zoom out and show you guys the 2-card combo and explain the options that you can use for the combo. So all you need is access to these 2 cards. Kepler being a optional copy for any of these. And if you do use Kepler, you do get 1 extra disruption with your Machina. So that's a point to make. So let me start off by normal summoning your Copernicus. Copernicus is going to send your Necros line from deck to grave. You're going to special summon Griffin since you do control a DD monster. You're then going to link these 2 off, and you're going to make yourself your Gilgamesh. This is now when you're locked into DD monsters only, because he's going to set you 2 cards in your Pendulum Scales. Those being your Ragnarok and your Orthros. I do want to mention, because someone did mention it in a comment in one of my older videos, this is all one effect to place in scales and take the damage. So if you do place, and if you do have access and want to use the Zero King Rage, you would put Zero King Rage in the scale, yes, but he will not protect you from the burn damage, because it's all in one effect. It essentially happens all simultaneously, if you want to think of it that way. So you will take the damage still from Gilgamesh, which means when you do use King Tail's effect to burn your opponent, it can still go through because you still take the damage. So now you've got these in scale. You will now Pendulum Summon out from your extra deck your Copernicus along with your Griffin. From here you can use Griffin's effect to ditch a DD and draw 1. It does come in handy in actual playtesting. But from here we're going to now overlay these 2 and make our Wave King Caesar. You can use Wave King Caesar's effect here if you want to as well. It's completely up to you. But we're now going to use Orpheus' effect to pop itself along with the King Caesar. This triggers King Caesar's effect to grab us a Dark Contract from deck to hand. From here, we're going to grab ourselves a Swamp King. We're going to play said Swamp King just because why not? We can do that right now or later. But from here, we're going to use Necroscience effect to banish it and Copernicus. And we're going to make our Genghis. Now, this is one of the reasons why Machina is so good. Because it just uses any triple D as material, it's so easy now to trigger a Genghis. Because now we can just use our King Tail, our Gilgamesh, and then go straight into a Death Machina. From here, this triggers our Genghis effect to revive a DD monster. We're going to revive ourselves a Wave King Caesar. And then we're just going to slap the King Tail on top of that. It's so easy. This deck exceeds changes so easily. From here, we're going to use King Tail's effect. Since we took burn damage, we're going to burn ourselves. We're going to reduce King Tail's attack by 1,000. We're going to burn our opponent for 1,000. And then we're going to use the Swamp King here to fuse the King Tail and banish the Caesar. And we're going to make ourselves our second Genghis. From here, King Tail's effect activates and sends a DD card or Dark Contract from deck to graveyard. And from here, we're going to send our DD, our Patented Dark Contracts. From here, that activates since it was sent to graveyard. We can add a DD from graveyard or face-up extra deck to our hand. So we're going to add ourselves the Orthodox here. From here, we're going to overlay our 2 Genghis to make our High Wave King Caesar. This triggers our Ragnarok to revive a DD from grave and then take 1,000 damage. So we're going to revive our Griffin and take the damage. Griffin now activates as Chain Link 1. And then our Orthoros, since we took damage, as our Chain Link 2. So Orthoros special summons itself since we took damage. And then Griffin adds us a DD card. So I'm going to put 3 cards here, as they are all viable options for our end of combo. So we're going to just wrap up the combo here by using these 2 as synchro materials to make ourselves our Cursed King Siegfried. But our Search of the Griffin, so this is your main board. This is the main thing that's going to disrupt our opponent. 2 summon negates and boosts, attack boost from our Wave King Caesar, spell and trap negate off our Siegfried, and a 1 and a 2 steals off our Death's Machina here. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5 negates, disruptions just from this alone. But we get a 6th disruption off our Griffin, which is any one of these. Well, this isn't really disruption. This is more of a recursion, like a hand recycle, and a way to get around forbidden droplets, and I'll explain why in a minute. So we can either add ourselves DD Human Resources, DD Headhunt, or DD Savant Newton. So Headhunt is pretty much self-explanatory. You can set this, steal our opponent's monster, and then turn into a DD. Newton, why is this a disruption? Well, because we can, if we add Newton, we can discard it to add a contract from grave to hand. So we can add back ourselves our painted in contracts, and then we can place that in the field zone. So now, not only do we have 5 disruptions here, but every time our opponent either, or once our opponent synchros or exceeds, they take 1,000 damage and are locked out that summoning mechanic for the rest of the turn, which is very, very strong indeed, especially since we have summon negates and spell and trap negates. If we add the human resources though, this helps us a lot if we know our opponent uses droplets, because we can set the resources, pass turn to our opponent. From here we can then use, if they play droplets and discard only monsters and spells, we can go, okay, cool, chain human resources, shuffle these 2 and this back into our deck and extra deck, to then add 2 DD cards from deck to hand. We can then chain the Siegfried on top of the human resources to negate the droplets, and then from there human resources grabs us whatever we want. So it can be like a Spell Slime. What I'd probably do is either add Spell Slime, Kepler, or Ragnarok to any 2 of these, depending on what my current hand and graveyard is like. So that's something I tend to do myself. But yes, that's pretty much the combo, as well as options for you, depending on what you like. So guys, I hope you found this all helpful, enjoyable and exciting, and makes you equally as excited as I am for the DDD support coming out in Battle of Chaos, just in like, I believe like next month, I believe, or a month or 2. It's very, very soon, that's for I know for sure. So as always guys, like, comment and subscribe. Till next time, as always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.